deed is done.
Jeannie! Jeannie! Hi. I had to come back.
Oh, Master, what are you doing here?
I had to come back.
Something happened in 1967 that Barbara Eden still pretends never existed. Nearly 6 decades have passed, yet that single reel remains locked away, unwatched, unspoken, and heavy as granite on her memory. Whatever she saw on that soundstage was strong enough to outspell even Jeannie's magic, and it begins long before the camera ever rolled. Barbara Jean Moorhead was born in Tucson, Arizona on August 23, 1931. Then whisked to San Francisco after her parents divorced. Money was tight, but music was free. She sang in church choirs, studied at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, and earned the crown of Miss San Francisco before Hollywood finally took notice. Throughout the 1950s, she bounced between small film roles and guest spots on primetime television until screenwriter Sidney Sheldon wrote a pilot about an astronaut and a mischievous 2,000-year-old Jeannie. Eden, a newly pregnant 23-year-old, tried to turn it down. Sheldon refused to recast. He simply draped pink chiffon over a cleverly hidden baby bump, and I Dream of Jeannie premiered in September 1965. Audiences were spellbound, but backstage, the National Broadcasting Company censors were less enchanted. They banned any glimpse of her navel, insisted the bottle blue harem pants never ride too low, and ruled that Jeannie's plush bedroom could never be shown with the door shut. Suggestive privacy was forbidden. Eden laughed it off, calling the modesty plug in her costume the world's most talked-about jewel. Still, the rules forced the crew to reshoot entire scenes if a single shimmer of skin slipped into frame. Larry Hagman, the square-jawed Texan chosen to play Major Anthony Nelson, found a different escape. In the earliest weeks, he and Eden clicked like magnets, riffing through bloopers with the ease of vaudeville partners. Ratings soared, sponsors lined up, and suddenly, the pastel dreamscape of Cocoa Beach became the brightest half-hour on Thursday nights. Between takes, Eden hummed old conservatory warm-ups under her breath, a trick for steady nerves she had learned while singing torch songs in cramped San Francisco supper clubs. Yet while Eden memorized scripts, Hagman began stockpiling something else. Ice buckets stuffed with champagne, hidden in every corner of Stage 10. Crew members joked that the cork pops kept tempo better than the clapboard, but the laughter was starting to ring hollow. By the spring of 1967, one storyline would force Eden and Hagman into a scene so tense that only one of them would ever watch it again. And the moment the director shouted, "Cut!" the spell of Jeannie's bottle cracked forever. Larry Hagman's grin could light up a soundstage, but the glint in his eye was something else entirely. During the show's first winter hiatus, he discovered that champagne dulled the monotony of shooting the same scene 6 different ways. By season 2, he was polishing off as many as 5 bottles a day, often before lunch, then coasting through the afternoon on tequila shooters hidden in a thermos marked coffee. At first, the crew dismissed it as harmless mischief. Hagman was a Texan who loved a party. He cracked jokes, improvised lines, and, ironically, never missed a mark. But alcohol has a way of sharpening the wrong edges. He started arriving with sunglasses glued to his face, snapping at assistant directors for daring to reset a prop. One morning, a wardrobe intern handed him the wrong flight jacket. Hagman flung it across the hangar set so violently the zipper left a groove in the plywood cockpit. Cameraman Bob Brenner swore he saw sparks when the metal teeth scraped the painted sky backdrop, like fireworks warning us the 4th of July was coming early. The worst came on an otherwise quiet Thursday, when a group of visiting nuns, invited by studio publicity, stepped onto Stage 10. Spotting the black and white habits out of the corner of his eye, Hagman grabbed a fire axe used for emergency drills. Without warning, he whirled it over his head, yelling a string of curses so graphic the boom operator yanked off his headphones. The nuns froze. Eden, in full pink silk, rushed forward only to be pulled back by a grip who whispered, "He is past reasoning." Security tackled Hagman after he buried the axe in a coil of lighting cable. Visitors were banned from the Jeannie set from that day forward. Eden tried diplomacy. She left cheery notes in Hagman's dressing room, offered to run lines, even gifted him a silver flask engraved, "Use for water." Nothing worked. Producers ordered an on-set doctor, but Hagman threatened to quit if anyone clipped his wings. NBC could not afford to lose its leading man, so the studio shipped in cases of Dom Perignon and hoped for the best. By early 1967, the corks were popping before sunrise, and the genie's bottle was rattling. Every laugh track masked a frayed nerve. Every glittering special effect hid one more dent in the drywall. The clock was ticking toward a script that would demand absolute precision, and one disastrous day that Barbara Eden still refuses to see. March of 1967 should have been a victory lap. NBC finally let Larry Hagman slide into the director's chair for a script titled The Birds and the Bees Bit. Slot 29 of Season 2, production code 59, slated to air April 10th. The storyline looked innocent enough. Jeannie schemes to push Anthony Nelson toward a wedding altar, only to learn she could lose her powers if she says, "I do." Eden joked that the plot felt like a marriage manual written by Pandora herself. Off-camera, Pandora's real box was already wide open. Hagman arrived on day one wearing aviator shades and gripping a silver megaphone, the cork from a breakfast bottle of Dom Perignon still wedged in his pocket. Crew members counted 7 empties by lunch. He barked rewrites between swigs, insisting Jeannie should pout harder and Roger Healy should look drunk, even if he is not. Each new demand meant another reset of the elaborate bottle interior set, a technicolor cave of satin pillows that soaked up studio heat like a greenhouse. Under the lights, Eden's veil felt like a furnace filter. An offset thermometer taped to the Genie bottle read 102 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than the Mojave that week. Beads of sweat made her false lashes slip until a makeup artist glued them back with spirit gum. By mid-afternoon, Hagman's commands blurred into slurred riddles. When the clapperboard snapped for take 23, he missed his boom-up cue, then laughed so loudly the sound engineer's levels blew red. A weary prop assistant quietly swapped the next champagne bucket with flat ginger ale. Legend says the bucket is still in a backlot prop cage, pink lipstick smeared across the rim from Eden's silent gasp when the first fizz sprayed over her costume. Hagman spat the first sip across a fiberglass cloud and threatened to fire every last saboteur. The set went silent, except for a slow drip echoing inside Jeannie's bottle, condensation sliding down pink plexiglass. Somehow, after 12 grueling hours, the master take was printed. In the dark of the CBS editing bay a week later, Eden sat flanked by 2 producers as the rough cut flickered to life. She watched Jeannie's usually playful eyes shift into something brittle, watched Nelson stumble through a proposal that felt both forced and vaguely cruel, and felt her stomach lurch. Halfway through the final act, she rose without a word, walked into the corridor, and never returned. Colleagues found her outside staring at the water tower, whispering, "That is not my Jeannie." From that moment, Eden avoided every cast screening, every anniversary marathon, every fan club binge that cued episode 29. She would gladly laugh at bloopers, autograph pink and gold DVD sleeves, even reenact the bottle blink for charity. But press play on the Birds and the Bees bit? Not once in 58 years, and the harshest fallout was still to come. Barbara Eden never names the episode out loud, but whenever a fan convention moderator hints at the marriage scare from season 2, her smile stiffens. In interview after interview, she has said only that the idea of Jeannie marrying a mortal shattered the spell, because a Jeannie, unlike a witch, is not human and can never truly become a wife. Those exact words came during the show's 50th anniversary segment on Today in 2015, when she admitted that the proposal plot just ruined the show's credibility. Privately, Eden's objection ran deeper. She felt the script betrayed the very whimsy that had carried the series, turning bright, fizzy wish fulfillment into a domestic sitcom without the honesty of one. Worse still, she could see Larry Hagman's glazed stare in every close-up, a reminder that the on-set tension was now baked into the story forever. In her memoir, Jeannie Out of the Bottle, she called that week the daydream that turned into a daymare. When Sony restored the series for high-definition DVD in 2006, they invited cast members to record commentary tracks. Bill Daly and director Claudio Guzman said yes. Barbara sent a polite note declining that particular episode, then skipped the entire taping. The disc for Season 2 still carries the birds and the bees bit, but it is the only installment on the set without an optional commentary. Collectors noticed straight away, emailing forums with screenshots of the blank commentary icon, sparking years of Reddit speculation threads nicknamed the Silent Lamp. Viewers can watch the glossy remaster, yet there is no cheerful voice explaining the tricks behind Jeannie's blink, no memory lane about costumes, just silence where Eden's laughter should be. Even in fresh interviews, she keeps her distance. It has become a parlor game among superfans. Cue the episode at conventions and watch as Eden's handlers politely shepherd her toward the autograph table before the first laugh track rolls. On Jenny Garth's I Choose Me podcast last month, Eden chatted about costume secrets and motherhood grief. But when Garth teased, "Was there any episode you wish you could forget?" the 93-year-old gave a coy wink and changed the subject to Larry Hagman's practical jokes. The avoidance has become an inside joke among longtime Jeannie devotees. Mention Season 2, Episode 29, and watch the Jeannie vanish in a puff of polite deflection. Eden insists she carries no resentment, only a desire to keep the series exactly as she remembers it, sparkling, hopeful, untouched by the one storyline that made her question its magic. But the network had seen dollar signs, and they were not finished meddling. In 1969, they issued an ultimatum that would push Jeannie and Tony all the way to the altar. And this time, no amount of Jeannie dust could save the show. In 1969, as Season 4 limped toward its finale, I Dream of Jeannie faced a quiet threat that no Jeannie could blink away. One afternoon, creator Sidney Sheldon picked up the phone to hear NBC programming chief Mort Werner deliver an order disguised as a favor. Renewals were on the table, only if Jeannie marched down the aisle on national television. No vows, no Season 5. Sheldon hung up, stunned. The whole charm of the series lived in a two-season dance of near kisses, missed hints, and a twinkle of impossibility. Marriage would snap the tension like an overwound music box. He begged the network to reconsider. Executives pointed to Bewitched, already milking happily wed ratings, and said audiences craved televised honeymoons. They even floated a crossover honeymoon special, pairing Samantha Stevens with Jeannie in Tahiti, before legal departments laughed the idea off the lot. Barbara Eden bristled. "Jeannies are not human," she repeated in meeting after meeting, echoing the mythos that made viewers lean closer to the screen. Larry Hagman, now battling both champagne and studio notes, shrugged, "Whatever sells more bottles." So the writers inked the wedding, filmed it under Cape Kennedy floodlights, and packaged the ceremony as a television event, complete with Air Force brass in full-dress blues. Sheldon later confessed in his memoir that dread shadowed every frame, and that the laughter felt tinny, like someone shaking pennies in a can. On December 2nd, 1969, viewers tuned in to see Jeannie in a white fur-trimmed minigown, levitating her veil while the chaplain tried to keep a straight face. Ratings spiked for the night, but the aftershock was brutal. An internal NBC memo leaked years later listed the episode under a single-line autopsy. Magic domesticated equals magic evaporated. Eden sensed it instantly. The morning after broadcast, her fan mail split in two neat piles: congratulations and condolences. Kids loved the fairy tale kiss. Longtime devotees felt the magic snap like a cheap wand. Inside NBC's Burbank headquarters, the Nielsen curve began a slow, merciless slide. Columnists blamed a so-called moonlighting curse years before Bruce Willis ever traded quips with Sybil Shepherd. Historians looking back would call Season 5 the weakest of the entire run, pointing at that single December episode as the moment the bottle cracked beyond repair. Yet nobody warned the cast. After Wrap, Hagman vacationed in South America, came home to collect a jacket, and learned from a security guard that the show had vanished from the schedule. "Wow, that is real Hollywood," he sighed, staring at the locked soundstage. Barbara Eden was not surprised. She simply tucked away the wedding script beside the earlier proposal episode, two relics she would never play again. But for Hagman, the fallout had only begun, and the genie's last wish carried a darker twist than anyone expected. The genie's bottle shattered, but the pieces did not land where anyone expected. Larry Hagman should have nosedived after cancellation, yet television, ever hungry for extremes, transformed his demons into dollar signs. In 1978, he slipped into a Stetson to play John Ross Ewing on Dallas, and weaponized every ounce of the manic energy that once rattled Stage 10. Viewers could not look away from the ruthless oil baron who drank bourbon for breakfast, and Hagman finally admitted the performance was powered by habit. 5 bottles of champagne a day on Jeannie, little slugs all through the afternoon. When the cliffhanger, "Who Shot JR?" pulled 90 million viewers, Hagman sent Eden a cheeky telegram. Champagne problem solved. Dallas labeled this time. Fame did not soften the toll. By 1995, surgeons replaced his liver, citing decades of abuse. The actor cheerfully named the new organ Number 1 and flashed a peace sign from his hospital bed. Barbara Eden sent flowers in bubble wrap pink, the same shade as Jeannie's veil, and later guest starred on Dallas as a conniving billionaire. Her first on-screen reunion with Hagman since the rehearsal hall axe incident that had once terrorized visiting nuns. Audiences loved the nostalgic spark, but Eden kept the friendship on safe terrain. No cast party screenings, no trips down the syndicated back catalog. Meanwhile, collectors began sniffing around the lost mystique of Jeannie. A lone production still from the proposal scene surfaced on eBay in 2021. It sold for $8,000 even though the print was creased and the colors bled psychedelic pink. In 2006, Sony's high-definition remaster invited surviving cast to record commentary. Hagman obliged, cracking jokes about, "That day I tried to decapitate a lighting rig." Bill Daly chimed in with tales of rigging wires that yanked pillows into mid-air. Eden's chair stayed empty. The producers offered to skip the birds and the bees bit entirely. She declined, writing only, "My Jeannie lives elsewhere." Crew members later whispered that she walked out of a private screening room when the restored footage rolled silently in advance. Even streaming's Second Life could not coax her back. When Hulu licensed the full run in 2019, social media lit up with gifs of Jeannie hovering beside a white fur wedding dress. But fans noticed one odd omission. The platform's promotional clips never included a single frame from episode 29. Eden had not demanded a cut. She simply maintained her quiet veto by refusing every watch party invitation. The paradox endures. Hagman's wild years became legend. Jeannie reruns sparkle brighter than ever, and Barbara Eden still greets audiences with that famous arm-folded blink. Yet one reel remains frozen in her memory, sealed tighter than any genie's cork, proof that sometimes the brightest fantasies cast the darkest shadows. And before the curtain falls, there is one last question the bottle refuses to answer. Legends often end with fireworks, but Barbara Eden's story finishes in a hush, the faint click of a projector left permanently dark. In the public imagination, she is forever the buoyant genie who folds her arms, nods once, and turns every problem into pastel smoke. Yet behind that indelible wink lies a choice, as deliberate as any magic spell. One episode will never pass before her eyes again. Why hold on to the silence? Part of the answer is practical. Eden has always guarded the show's lighter-than-air mystique, knowing that a single sour memory can puncture nostalgia. Another part is loyalty. She refuses to tarnish Larry Hagman, a friend she praised even after his wildest days, by reliving the worst of them in high definition. But the deepest reason is harder to frame. Call it self-preservation. Artists survive by protecting spark that keeps their craft joyful. For Eden, that spark dimmed during a fraught shoot in March 1967 and never quite reignited on that particular reel. The easiest safeguard is not to watch. In the decades since, new generations have streamed I Dream of Jeannie in crystal clarity, laughing at props that shake and matte lines that wobble. They marvel that a series born before the moon landing still feels like candy-colored comfort food. They quote Jeannie's giggles, debate whether the wedding killed the magic, and swap rumors about Hagman's champagne thermos. But when the conversation turns to Season 2, Episode 29, a curious hush remains, echoing Eden's Eden's own. It is a gap as noticeable as a missing jewel in the veil, and that absence has become part of the legend. Television history is full of lost tapes, banned pilots, and unaired finales. Most vanish by accident or corporate purge. Eden's episode survives in vaults and digital libraries, yet its most important viewer simply looks away. In doing so, she transforms an ordinary sitcom half-hour into a cultural Rorschach. Fans project their own questions onto it. Was the scene truly that awkward? Could one drunken day really fracture a fairy tale? Might the show have endured, ratings intact, if the proposal had never happened? The reel itself cannot answer. Only Eden could, and she chooses not to. So the story ends, not with a blink, but with a silent refusal that feels louder than any studio laugh track. And now the bottle passes to you. If you could open that dusty canister of film, would you? Would curiosity erase the charm, or deepen it? Scroll down, add your take, and tell us. Should some memories stay sealed, or does every piece of television history deserve one more viewing? Just remember, once you press play, there is no going back into the bottle.